Okay, we can proceed with the Animal Control Services portion of the Public Safety Committee.
The report of the Public Safety Subcommittee on Animal Control Services. The Town of Lyons currently provides animal control services pursuant to the requirement of Article 7 of the New York State Agriculture and Markets Law. As a town function, dissolution will have no impact on that service. The village police, in the interest of service to the citizens, often provide a first response to animal complaints, but usually enforcement in the form of an arrest, issuance of a ticket, or animal seizure is the responsibility of the animal control officer. In the event that the town forms a town police department, there are times that it may be more expedient for the police officer to issue a ticket or effect an arrest. In general, the dissolution will have very little or no impact on the deliverance of animal control services by the town.
Does anyone have any comments on that portion? Okay. Oh, this is the same one we have. Okay.
So you're saying all the costs stay the same, Keith? It's in the current budget.
It's a town budget. There's no village function.
Current budget, yep. 8426 would stay the same.
Okay. This is a fairly simple one. I move that we accept the Animal Control Services Subcommittee report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Because Mrs. Rios making some additional comments. Actually, you can give this to Diane, and you just have to deal with this side of the table. I'll start reading it here.
Okay.
It's a recommendation for post-dissolution fire protection. The Public Safety Subcommittee. The subcommittee has studied the operation of the current Village of Lyons Fire Department and has made observations and formed opinions regarding the operation of that service. The Village of Lyons currently maintains the Lyons Fire Department. This department is the only fire department in the town of Lyons. As such, it provides fire protection and rescue services approximately within the geographical boundaries of the town of Lyons. As with other fire departments in Wayne County, it participates in a mutual aid network with other agencies. Lyons provides some specialized services such as combined space rescue to adjacent communities. Currently, the Lyons Fire Department attributes quick response to its use of paid drivers. These drivers, 2 full-time and 8 part-time, provide 24-hour, 7-day-a-week coverage and also maintain equipment in the fire hall when not on fire calls. In addition to the paid drivers, approximately 60 volunteers staff the department. Approximately 30 of those volunteers are considered active, maintaining training levels needed to respond to emergency calls. The subcommittee encourages continued volunteer participation and support in order to maintain the current level of service and response enjoyed by the community. The subcommittee recognizes services provided in addition to fire suppression, those including, but not limited to, hazardous material calls, rescue, extrication, and confined space rescue calls, and assists in motor vehicle accidents. The department, with all paid drivers being EMT certified, provides response to cardiorespiratory calls and backup EMS calls. The cost of the fire department is currently a shared expense. The current budgeted cost of the fire department is $338,000, including a $10,000 contribution to a fire truck reserve fund. Of this cost, the town contributes 40% as a line item expense. These amounts are consistent with costs identified by the subcommittee in preliminary reports. Those being total $257,056 expense, $103,000 paid by the village, and $153,280 by the town.
That's
The
a
two-
wrong amount.
There's an explanation there. $257,056 expense did not include the $10,000 contribution to the fire truck reserve fund debt service, nor was the amount adjusted for the new fiscal year. Therefore, the budgeted amount mentioned in the first sentence is the accurate amount. Upon formation of the fire district, the cost of the fire department would be an assessed tax all properties within that district. The subcommittee recognizes the need to transition fire protection smoothly from the current village entity to a fire district with the same geographical boundaries as now serviced. Those services will continue in a manner that will maintain the current ISO readings for properties in the town of Lyons. It is a recommendation for the subcommittee that upon dissolution of the village, all equipment and operations be transferred to a fire district encompassing the town of Lyons. All equipment should be transferred to the fire district and operations should continue to be housed in the current fire hall on Water Street. The committee recommends the current debt of approximately $124,000 incurred through the purchase of fire trucks also be transferred to the fire district. After it is reduced by whatever funds may be held in the reserve fund for fire truck purchase. Subcommittee, recognizing the benefit to the community, recommends continuing the positions of paid drivers and current response procedures at the time of transition. These positions, along with operations and expenses of the fire district, will be subject to the approval of a board of fire commissioners. Those commissioners, initially appointed by the town board, would be accountable to the electorate. The budget would be subject to voter approval similar to a school budget. The subcommittee recommends the Board of Fire Commissioners carefully consider methods to control staffing expenses, specifically the overtime budget, currently costing approximately $22,000.
Any comments on the reports?
Chief, would your recommendation about the transfer of equipment and operations include transfer of real property and facility as well?
Would there be an advantage to the town owning the real property and the fire district renting? Or is it your thought that it would be best that everything be turned over to the fire district?
Well, the subcommittee discussed various implications as it would pertain to the town versus the fire district, and it was our opinion that since the fire district is an entity, that they should be unencumbered by other municipal entities.
Well, since the tax, if it's going to be their own taxing authority, I guess it doesn't make much sense for the town to own the building and rent it to the fire district.
Just muddies the water.
Yeah. What's, do you have any comments? What do you think? What do you think about staffing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
I think as far as I'm concerned, I think that we do need some
was it discussed that there only be full-time people during the daytime when volunteers were not available to staff the fire hall at night?
The subcommittee felt that, based on recommendations and discussions with the fire chief, that the response in the town of Lyons rests heavily on there being a paid fire driver at any given time. One of the considerations is that the Lyons Fire Department is the only fire department in the town, as opposed to some adjacent towns that have multiple fire departments or multiple response points. So based on that, the subcommittee recommended keeping the paid drivers.
Now, is it my understanding that if there's a paid driver, the paid driver can drive to a fire and have the volunteers meet him there, as compared to having a volunteer here and having to wait for all the volunteers to come here before they can go to the fire?
The current response procedure, as explained to the subcommittee by representatives of the fire department, is that the paid driver never leaves the village. If there's a mutual aid call, I say the village, he never leaves the district. If there is a mutual response call, say for Palmyra, equipment may go there, but the paid driver remains. And at any given time that there is a call for service in the town of Lyons, then that paid driver brings a piece of equipment to that location so that volunteers responding directly to the location have equipment in which they can immediately address the emergency or begin fire suppression. As opposed to, we look at fire departments, and I don't want to muddy it up by saying districts or towns or whatever, but some other fire departments, and some of those fire departments, as a response procedure, wait until sufficient volunteers arrive to staff a piece of equipment, and then that piece of equipment proceeds to the emergency call. And we didn't feel that that would be in the best interests of the town of Lyons residents.
Well, that was my understanding too. I just wanted to clarify it. There's two pages. There's two pages to.
There's 2 pages to, and they're numbered 1 and 2. And the police report. And the subcommittee, in the wording of the report and in our spirit, we wanted to stress to the committee that we recognize the potential autonomy of this fire district and the commissioners that would be administering that district.
I think basically it's going to be up to the Board of Commissioners when it becomes a district.
They will be established as an autonomous entity.
Right. But for going forward as a committee recommendation, the subcommittee is recommending that we keep the paid drivers, and that's going to be the recommendation of the full board if we vote on it next week.
Our recommendation is that upon transition, the date the village would dissolve and the fire district would begin, that they do so with the same operating procedures and personnel that we currently enjoy.
Can I get a point of clarification? On the debt, you are proposing that the fire reserve, that money be drawn down, paid against the debt service, and then whatever's left transfers over to the fire district.
Over to the fire district for debt service by residents within the district.
And that may be a question we would like to ask the Controller's Office, because it is a reserve fund for a special purpose. So
It was just our opinion that, and not a legal opinion, but just our opinion that the reserve fund is for purchasing of fire trucks, and the debt was incurred by purchasing fire trucks, so we felt that it should be able to transfer, but certainly the Controller's Office would be able to give a more definitive opinion on it.
Well, would it be transferred, or
Or would the village pay the debt down before the date of dissolution? That's what
The village would use the reserve fund to pay down the debt, and then the debt would transfer to the
Whatever's left.
district, whatever's left.
Okay. Yeah, there would be no.
And that way, we're not projecting, what's the debt on May 31st, 2015? What's the reserve in 2015? What it is, And you ladies might be able to project it, but we didn't feel that we were in a position to do that projection.
And that question probably for the comptroller would be for all the reserve funds there, depending on how you established each one. You'll rule on that.
Okay. Thank you. We'll be voting on that next week as well. And now you have the,
And we have a subcommittee report, recommendation for post-dissolution police protection. Does everybody have a copy of this? Gail's got it. Let's start. The subcommittee has studied the operation of the current Village of Lyons Police Department and has made observations and formed opinions regarding the operation of that service. The Village of Lyons currently maintains the Lyons Police Department. This department provides police services to the Village of Lyons residents and properties. 24-hour coverage is provided by a staff of 8 full-time police officers consisting of a chief of police, 2 sergeants, 5 full-time police officers, and 2 civilian clerks. Additionally, 5 part-time police officers are available to supplement gaps in scheduling and to provide additional staff for special circumstances or events. One of those part-time officers offers the services of a certified canine. Additional assistance in the way of staff and specialized services is provided by the Wayne County Sheriff's Office and the New York State Police. Liaisons are maintained with Wayne County Probation, New York State Parole, and various federal agencies such as DEA, ATF, and FBI. The department is an active participant in WayneNet, the local drug task force. One of the civilian clerk positions enforces parking regulations in the downtown area and provides crossing guard services to the elementary school. The cost of the police department is currently a village expense. According to MRB studies, that total cost is $960,223 a year. This amount is consistent with costs identified by subcommittee in preliminary reports, that being $878,000 per year, which does not include $53,000 per year in related expenses for a police officer on extended police disability, currently referred to as 207C, municipal law, nor an $8,000 line item, that being the police car reserve fund contribution, and the amount adjusted for the new fiscal year. It is the recommendation of the subcommittee that upon dissolution of the Village of Lyons, the Town of Lyons form a town police department encompassing the geographic boundaries of the town. All equipment and services will be transferred to the town police department. The town would provide 24-hour, 7-day-a-week police services to the Town of Lyons residences and properties. As was the case in the village, the town police department would reach out to the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, New York State Police, and other law enforcement agencies to assist with this expanded responsibility. The cost of the town police department would be distributed across the entire town assessment. The procedure to establish the town police department is provided in New York State Town Law, Section 150. The subcommittee recognizes the need to transition police services as smoothly as possible. To accomplish this transition, the subcommittee recommends village police officer and civilian clerks be offered employment by the town as new town employees. Rank and seniority within title should be maintained. Terms and conditions of that employment will be established by the town at the time of dissolution. The town will then evaluate those terms and conditions within the first year of operation of the town police department. The subcommittee recommends consideration should be given to the location of the police station. Ideally, the town police department would be located in the same facility as the current police station at 72 William Street. Radio and computer service wiring is already in place and operational. The location provides a central contact point for the citizens. In this consideration, it is important to suggest to other subcommittees that the court be located in the same building. The court could be operated effectively in the current village board meeting room, converting the back conference room to an access point for police, possibly as a staging area for persons in custody. This would enhance the security of the court and facilitate processing of prisoners. At some point, the town may consider acquisition of the vacant property to the north of the William Street building. The subcommittee recommends maintaining a reserve fund for the purchase of police vehicles. Contributions to that fund should be adjusted so as to allow replacement of the vehicle when needed. The Public Safety Subcommittee recognizes considerations of other subcommittees will have a direct impact on the operation of the proposed town police department. The town board, when addressing the consolidation of village and town codes, should carefully consider adoption of quality of life codes such as property maintenance, animal control, and nuisance abatement. The use of these codes by the police working with animal control and code enforcement, both currently town functions, will significantly impact the environment in which lawfulness and safety is ensured. Parking regulations ensure safe pedestrian and vehicle traffic flow and facilitate access to businesses and street maintenance. Street lighting provides a safer, more pleasant environment and discourages criminal activity. The town should encourage close working relationships amongst all public safety entities so as to deliver efficient and effective services to the community.
So you're recommending the staffing remain the same? In past discussion, there was brought up as a possibility of having more part-time police officers, and
This, it's gonna remain the same until it dissolves. Then everybody has to reapply for full-time positions. And at that time, it's my understanding that we review how many police we need. Is that correct?
so are you making a recommendation that you might not need all the officers you currently have?
That was not my understanding of our last meeting.
I think it's important for you to come back with a recommendation that everybody agrees with. You're the subcommittee, you have to agree wholeheartedly on what you're recommending to the committee. It was my understanding that there was thoughts of having more part-time people and cutting the expense of the police department. So, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was told that the current union agreement, that there's nothing can be done until.
We don't care what's going on now. We're making a recommendation as to what the new town police department will look like.
That's fine.
And I think that if we're gonna be looking at the cost to the town taxpayers, if you think that you want to go with a different direction with the number of full-time and have more part-timers, and it's gonna cut a third of the cost, how can they project the cost of the police department without knowing what you're recommending the police department look like? So if you're recommending that the police department remain the same as it is today, then that's your recommendation. If your recommendation is you want to go more like some of the other townships that have a greater number of part-timers, then that's the recommendation you should make to the committee, full committee, so that the consultants can come up with a cost. So,
And I'm not making that recommendation tonight.
no, I don't want any recommendation. That's why this is a preliminary report. The three of you have to agree on what is being said. The committee can't recommend something that the subcommittee isn't wholeheartedly in favor of. So the subcommittee has to come to us with a recommendation that the subcommittee feels is the best way, or the way you think the police department will look when the town takes over.
And when we make that recommendation, then the committee can give us their opinion.
Yeah, what you do is you come back with your opinion of what, or your recommendation. We will discuss it. If you feel that the best thing going forward is to carry that $1,960,000, which would be more, if that's your recommendation, then we will discuss it as a full committee. If your recommendation is to say, we think that we can cut some of those full-time people, have part-timers, and cut the budget by 20%, then that's what your recommendation should be. Right now, you're not really making a recommendation because you're saying, well, there's nothing we can do because there's village contracts. When the village is dissolved, there's no more contracts. So, I understand what you're saying, but it's not what we need to hear as a committee.
That's fine.
All right?
Can I just
Go ahead.
we might be asking the same question. You have Chief, you have a statement in here about the subcommittee recommending maintaining a reserve fund for the purchase of police vehicles. It says contributions to that fund should be adjusted so as to allow replacement of the vehicle when needed. So I was just wondering if you can, again, we're just looking for marching orders in terms of what to use for cost projections. So if there's a recommendation for an increase in contributions to reserve funds, that would impact the general fund. So we would need to have an estimate of what that increase might look like.
That wasn't what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I just, when we get through with the final subcommittee recommendation, we might want to take a minute and let's just make sure everybody is in agreement who's going where, not for the costing out of bodies, but just that one-time renovation cost, to make sure that, you know, if you feel all admin's going to be in the
When you
town
say
hall.
who, you just mean positions again? Just
Positions, yes.
Where positions are actually
or
going to
actually
be
function, or
located.
the admin function, if that's going to be all at town hall, and the court function and the police function are all going to be at village hall,
Agreed.
then we can just take a look and come up with some estimates on that. And that'll only be a one-time cost for the renovation to get those people in there, if there is any cost.
I think we already have discussed that.
Oh, you're
I
all,
thought.
everybody's in
Didn't we-
agreement?
Weren't we in agreement that the only question was the code enforcement officer?
Then
The last,
So
the
we're,
last
we're,
week,
we're good.
Good.
All right,
the
everybody's
last
good.
week we discussed that, I thought, and voted.
So you're all, everybody's
That-
happy with,
well, I think there's still some, I don't think the mayor agrees with the police station going up to,
Well, the police station's staying here.
We had talked,
I don't
if you,
remember.
I know when Thea, we had in our committee, after we voted on using the village hall for the police and for the court, we talked a little bit, I had a concern about it because of, I'm a proponent of keeping the people who use our services in the downtown area. If somebody's going to pay their taxes, or somebody's going to pay their water bill, or if they're coming in to ask a code question, or what have you, it keeps the traffic downtown as far as we're concerned. Parking, I know, has been a problem. If you were to do away with that Wednesday court and that traffic in the downtown area on the days of court, plus the fact sometimes we have 3 or 4 police cars sitting out front, And those parking spaces could be utilized for the traffic within the village, town hall, whatever it ends up at. My concern was that isn't it better to have administration downtown so that we get that foot traffic in visiting Dobbins Drug Stores and the hardware and going to the bank and taking care of all those issues where you have a town office that has all kinds of parking for police cars, for court people, plus the element of people who may be on the streets, court days and so forth. And we really hadn't gotten into too much depth about discussing it, but my question, I guess, to our committee was, can we change or make a different recommendation to the whole committee that they reconsider having the police station in the court right there in the heart of the village?
Well, when we discussed it last week, it was brought up that the cost of moving the police station would be considerable. And that was one of the reasons they decided that it would be better to keep the police department where it currently is, and the courts would be taking over the village, the back of the current village offices for their court. Now, as far as Wednesday mornings go, the judges told us that they would be moving traffic court to an evening, so we would not have huge lines of people waiting, and that Wednesday morning would just be a criminal court.
That's what it is now, sir. Currently, traffic is Monday morning, and criminal is Wednesday. I believe the committee was talking about having another session of criminal court. You're looking at 3 sessions of court.
No, there were going to be a total of 3 sessions, but they were going to move traffic to evening.
Yeah. So you still have 2 criminal sessions.
Okay.
But currently there's a traffic session and a criminal session.
So
Wednesday's busy.
yeah. Well, maybe if we cut it in half, you have half on Monday.
You have
half
2
on
busy
Wednesday.
days.
But
Would that be adequate size for the court, where the traffic session for the court?
after they take off the wall, where we meet would be part of the court. That wall between there where the current village meets.
So I guess the question remains that maybe you could all just discuss it, so when we get to the point of the one-time cost and the cost of dissolution, we can move ahead with the costing out of the FTEs, but you're gonna have to make a decision and that you all agree, or that majority agrees, so that we can move forward in that piece.
I mean, there's pros and cons each way. Right? You know, if the police was down where the town is now, during court dates, you wouldn't see all the different. Thank you. But there's pros and cons each way. There really is.
So the discussion last week was based upon
Cost.
costs.
Cost would be the legal where it is now.
And I always thought we wanted the police presence now.
Right. That was the other thing.
That was the big thing.
Well, when talking about the police also, you used to have cameras downtown. Now, was that too expensive? I guess that now the cameras that are available, if you set them up on the corner of Canal and William, in the corner of Montezuma and William Street, we could see basically all of downtown, all of the village with cameras. Is that something that you can recommend or put in your recommendation?
We currently have access to cameras that are private cameras that we have access to their monitoring capabilities, and we're working to expand that.
All right.
The cameras that were downtown, they were obsolete when they were put up technology-wise.
Right.
I mean, they served their purpose at the time, but we're trying to progress.
Right. Well, that is something I thought might be discussed in your final subcommittee report. To maybe cut down on if you're gonna try to cut down on personnel, a person at a television screen could maybe monitor the whole downtown village. And it's not a presence per se, a car driving around, which is always good, but it's might be an option.
The issue, Sergey, is you're gonna pay a guy the same price to sit there in front of a screen, and you're gonna pay to have him out there responding. And you still, if you see something happening, you never respond. That was one of the problems with the old cameras. You could retroactively look at what happened, but it became too dependent on it, so there wasn't the deterrence, the response.
Well-
Did you address alternatives at all in your
No.
report?
That's what they're gonna do.
They're
They're gonna come back with
next week?
alternatives next week. I hope. All right. Any other, anything else to come up before the board tonight, the committee?
I'd like to know how long the 207C lasts.
What?
207C for an injured police officer. So that's 5 years, the duration of the 20-year terms. Are we obligated to it?
I think it's until till retirement, 60.
Well, you sure it's not until they got the 20 years in? The
She
police-
doesn't have 20 years in.
I don't know who it is, I don't want
She
to know who it
was,
is.
well, she.
No, what he's saying is, at 20 years when she could collect her retirement, can you just have her go, does she have to apply for retirement? Or does she have the
We've
ability?
applied twice and been refused twice.
Okay,
And she was terminated in 2008. And she's no longer an employee, but the regulations require that we continue paying her full salary.
all right. Until,
Does this person get raises every year when the...
Yeah.
So, what, I mean,
it's a state law.
yeah,
You know, taxes, FICA, retirement.
can we bring it back to work?
Costs more to bring her back to work because then you're paying benefits. You'd be paying
Yeah.
retirement and hospitalization and,
But if she would take the place of a current employee, we'd
Yeah.
still be saving $52,000 a year.
But you only.
I know, but when you bend over and you pick up a pencil and hurt your back, how long do you think she's gonna last?
She's not fit for duty, or she wouldn't be on 207, so she could not.
Yeah, she's
perform.
So she has the
She would
so she
have-
has the doctor's statement saying she can.
I've seen it.
Well, I guess we should look into if we could maybe reinvestigate if she's any healthier.
Well, the problem is that's not something that the committee can do.
Yeah, they
So,
We can recommend.
well, we can recommend, but
That's,
I'm hopeful that hopefully the village has already looked into that.
We have, we have.
And, all right, so next, Thursday, same place, same time. The consultants won't be here, they have other, villages that want to resolve and need their information.